Welcome to WatchMinded, the channel where we don't just look at watches, we build them. Today, we're going to build an iconic aviation or pilot's watch. After my recent visit to the IWC Museum, I got really inspired by the role watches played in aviation history, and I decided to build one myself. In this episode, I'll walk you through all the parts you need to build your own watch, show you the full assembly process, share a mistake that delayed the build for several weeks, but in the end, it was worth it, and highlight the small details that really make a difference. We'll test the Lume, try a few different strap options, and finally calculate the total cost of the build. All the parts for this build were sourced from AliExpress. I'll leave links to parts and tools in the description, so you can build one yourself. By the way, did you know that long before GPS or digital cockpit instruments, pilots relied on watches not just to tell time, but for navigation? Early aircraft had extremely limited fuel capacity, so pilots had to constantly track how long they had been flying. Navigation was based on three simple things: speed, direction, and time. If you know your speed and time, you can estimate the distance traveled. Watches were also essential for coordinating missions, especially in military aviation, where precise timing could be critical. When we think about pilots' watches today, we usually imagine models from brands like IWC, Breitling, Oris. But one of the very first aviation watches actually looked completely different. It was the square Cartier Santos, created in 1904. Brazilian aviator Alberto Santos Dumont once complained to his friend Louis Cartier that checking a pocket watch during flight was inconvenient. So Cartier designed a wristwatch with a leather strap, allowing him to check the time without letting go of the controls. And just like that, one of the first purpose-built wristwatches in history was born. If you dive deeper into the connection between aviation and watches, there are a lot of fascinating details. But for me, it was this emotional connection that made me want to build my own pilot's watch. Let's start with the case. Early aviation watches were huge, sometimes up to 55 millimeters in diameter. This one is much more wearable at 39 millimeters, but thanks to the slim bezel, it fits larger dials, around 33 to 34 millimeters, which makes the watch look bigger on the wrist than a typical Seiko mod. It also features one of the most iconic pilot watch elements, the oversized onion crown. Pilots often wore gloves, so having a large crown made it much easier to operate the watch. This design is still used today in watches like the IWC Big Pilot. Now, there's one detail that makes this case a bit different: the fluted bezel. That's not typical for a pilot watch. It adds a more refined, almost dress-like feel. And honestly, I really like that contrast. Specs-wise, the case is 39mm diameter, approximately 49mm lug-to-lug, 12.7mm thick, 20mm strap width, sapphire crystal, and rated for 200 meters water resistance. Next, the dial. Classic pilot watches, especially those inspired by World War II flieger models, usually come in two styles. Type A, simple layout with numerals from 1 to 11 and a triangle at 12. Type B, outer minutes track, 5 to 55, and inner hour numerals from 1 to 12. I chose Type B. It has strong aviation DNA and feels more like a true navigation tool. But this one comes with a twist, a green sunburst finish. Depending on the light, the dial changes a tonic and adds a lot of depth. Together with the fluted bezel, it pushes this build slightly toward a more refined, almost dressy direction, while still keeping that pilot watch identity. I went with green because I don't have any green watches in my collection, but there are also blue and black versions available. And one thing to note, this dial came with a Seiko logo, even though it wasn't shown on AliExpress. I'll link an alternative version without the logo in the description if you prefer a cleaner look. Now, the hands. These are classic sword-style pilot hands, very similar to what you see on models like the IWC Big Pilot. They're designed exactly for this kind of dial, bold enough for readability, but not too heavy. And of course, lume is important, especially for a pilot watch. We'll test the Lume later once the watch is fully assembled. And finally, the heart of the build, the movement. Since the dial has a day and date window, we're using the Seiko NH36. It's part of Seiko's NH series, known for being reliable, affordable, and easy to work with. It features automatic winding, hand winding, hacking seconds, and around 41 hours of power reserve. Early pilot watches didn't even have a date, but today many models include complications like day and date. And honestly, it makes the watch much more practical for everyday use. And by the way, the watch I'm wearing right now is a Tudor Black Bay Pro or Rolex Explorer 2 homage that I built last year. It's a true tool GMT watch, and it has become my go-to companion for travel, hikes, and everyday life. If you're interested in this build, I'll leave a link in the description so you can check it out. And recently, I was actually surprised to see how low the price of this case and bracelet is on AliExpress. So if you're curious, you can check it yourself under this video. January 22nd, 2026, Assembly, Part 1. And now, let's get into the assembly. I'll go through the steps quite quickly here. If you're new to watch modding and want a more detailed guide, check out my step-by-step guide to building your own DIY watch, linked in the description. We start with the dial. This one is designed specifically for the Seiko NH36 movement, so it has 2 dial feet, and the movement has 2 corresponding mounting holes. That means we don't need to cut anything. It's ready for installation. We just need to make sure the dial sits perfectly flat, because even the smallest gap can cause issues. For example, the hands might catch on the hour markers. Before installing the hands, we need to find the midnight position. So, we rotate the crown until the date changes. That's midnight. With that set, we can install the hands so they align exactly at 12. The hour hand goes first. I carefully press it down and check that it sits perfectly parallel to the dial. Next, the minute hand. And I broke it. Yeah, sometimes that happens. So I have to pause the build and order a new set of hands. March 15th, 2026, Assembly Part 2. We're back with a new set of hands, but before we continue, I want to show you something. I actually had several other hand sets I could have used for this build, but I really wanted this exact one. For example, here's a very nice looking set. I like the design, but they're thinner, and on this dial they might get visually lost. But more importantly, look at the inner hour circle. The original hour hand fits perfectly inside it, while this one is slightly longer. And for me, that breaks the visual balance. Let's try another set, Seiko diver style hands. They actually look pretty good here. But again, the hour hand is just a bit too long and extends beyond that inner circle. And for a perfectionist, that's hard to ignore. So, we're sticking with the original hands. Now let's install the minute and seconds hands. This time, the minute hand went on perfectly, and the seconds hand as well. Now, I want to show you something. What if we use a red seconds hand instead? I have one from another set I showed earlier, and honestly, I really like it. It adds a nice accent and gives the watch a bit more character. So I'm going to carefully remove the silver seconds hand and install the red one. Yeah, I like this much more. Now I check that all the hands are aligned properly and don't touch each other or the dial. Now we're going to install the movement into the case. First, I unscrew the crown and remove the case back. We need to remove the crown. Since the dial is larger than the movement, it doesn't fit into my movement holder. So to avoid damaging the hands, I'll hold the movement carefully in one hand and use the other to press the release lever and pull out the crown. It's a bit tricky to do it this way, but it's a pretty realistic situation when you're working on builds like this. Then I clean the case and the dial to remove any dust. I place the movement spacer onto the movement and then carefully lower everything into the case. Now, we can install the crown. We attach it to the stem supplied with the movement and insert it back into the movement. The stem is too long, which is completely normal, so we need to trim it. I measure the correct length and carefully cut it to size. And finally, I screw the case back down. And here it is, the finished build. Let's pick out a strap for it. I have several options, so it will be fun, and I can't wait to check how the watch will look with them. First goes the black leather strap. It has quick release that I like very much. With this black leather strap, the watch immediately feels more refined. It moves away from that raw military pilot look and into something more modern and versatile. The green dial still gives it that aviation character, and the red seconds hand adds a nice dynamic touch. But overall, this combination feels cleaner and more everyday wearable. And now, a sailcloth strap. And this one really pushes the watch into a more field and military-inspired direction. Compared to leather, it feels much more rugged and purpose-built, like something designed for outdoor use rather than a refined everyday piece. The olive green tone works perfectly with the dial, creating a very cohesive, almost monochromatic look, while the red seconds hand still adds a nice contrast. It definitely moves the watch away from that luxury pilot feel and closer to a true tool watch. This is probably the version I'd pick for hiking, travel, or anything active, where you want something durable, practical, and still visually interesting. And now, a beige Nato strap. The beige tone adds contrast to the green dial, making the whole watch feel brighter and a bit more summery. This is probably the most casual option of the four, something easy to wear every day, especially in warmer seasons. And now, a classic pilot-style leather strap. This one feels the most authentic to the original aviation watches. The rivets, the stitching, the overall construction. Everything here is inspired by those vintage pilot watches that were designed to be worn over a jacket. It immediately brings the watch back to its aviation roots, even despite the more modern case and dial. If you're going for a true pilot watch aesthetic, this is probably the closest match. And finally, a brown leather strap. It brings in a more classic, almost vintage character, something that fits really naturally with the pilot watch idea. Compared to black leather, it feels warmer and a bit more relaxed, while still keeping that refined look. At the same time, it balances everything we've built here: the green dial, the red seconds hand, and even the fluted bezel. Nothing feels too dressy, nothing feels too rugged. It just works. And in the end, this is the one I decided to keep on the watch. It feels the most complete, something I can wear every day, but that still has its own character. And here's what I wanted to show you. A quick comparison with the watch I was wearing today, just so you can see where this pilot watch actually sits. On one side, we have my Tudor or Rolex homage build. This one looks and feels like a real tool watch, something you can rely on for travel and everyday use. And on another side, the pilot watch we just built. It's also meant to be a tool. That's where it comes from. But in reality, it plays in a slightly different category. It still has that pilot watch DNA and strong instrument-style dial, but it leans more into character and design. The green sunburst dial, the red seconds hand, the fluted bezel. All of that makes it feel a bit more refined. And now, let's check the Lume. On the Pilot Watch, it's actually pretty good. Everything lights up clearly, and the hands are easy to read as well. Now, if we compare it to the GMT watch on the left, that one has stronger, more concentrated Lume. So I'd say, the Pilot Watch has good, clearly readable Lume, but because the numerals are thinner and the Lume plots are smaller, it's not as bright as the GMT watch. As usually, I send a picture of the watch to ChatGPT and asked his opinion about it. Mr. GPT, please tell me what you think about this watch. And this is what I get.
It's not a pure tool watch. It's more of an everyday piece inspired by aviation, something that keeps that Pilot Watch DNA, but reinterprets it in a more refined and wearable way. With this design, it's perfect for someone who likes the idea of a tool watch but doesn't want something too rugged or tactical. It's for people who appreciate the details. This is the kind of watch you can wear daily, to the office, on a trip, or just casually, and it will still feel special.
And now, let's break down the budget. As always, you'll find links to all the parts and tools in the description below. Case, $27. Dial, $18. Hands, $3. Movement, Seiko NH36, $74. Brown leather strap, $7. That brings the total cost to $129. Thank you for watching WatchMinded. Hit the like button and subscribe for more builds. I'll see you in the next one.